Everything we know, from people and ants to stars and galaxies to quarks and atoms, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer inside an even bigger universe. Ancient philosophers said that the universe is a dream that we're waiting to wake up from. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. All cultural items, from the dreams of our rodent-like ancestors, to books, to television shows, are merely permutations of the reality we think we live in. Today's age of computers and video games places simulations at the center of our cultural consciousness. A select group of us perform simulations for fun and profit, and we call them games, role-playing and otherwise. We live to run simulations. Join us on the Simulationist Podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Thank you so much for listening to that super long intro that we have on every podcast.
Iteration.
Every iteration of the podcast. This is the 135th of the show, the Simulationist Podcast, recorded on the 5th of April, 2015.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. The other voice that you hear on the other microphone, as it always is and always will be,
Ryan Kirkby, Rabbit.
Oh, that's your new nickname that you want everybody to
know? No. It's just the extra role I'm taking on. I'm getting some extra work, and you know what? I'm going to be an Easter rabbit now.
Oh, okay. So that's an Easter thing. I thought for a second you might be the year of the rabbit. Is it?
No. I was born the year of the monkey. I get this, man. According to because they have the 5 elements in the Chinese zodiac, I am from the Iron Monkey.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, man. They took the year I was born in, and they turned it into a Jackie Chan martial arts film.
I feel like I'm a dog. I think that's where I am.
All I know is my wife is a wonderful little rabbit, and my daughter is a dragon.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's a good family.
It fits her personality quite well. She's very energetic and go-getting, so it works. Zodiac-wise, it works. Yeah.
I should introduce myself. I am Josh Trelevin.
So what are you then for part of this Easter?
What am I for Easter?
Yeah. I'm the rabbit. What are you doing?
My Easter persona, a splinter of the true cross.
Dig it. Oh, wait, can you be fighting vampires like that?
Yes.
Okay, I can double dig it.
Into vampires.
Would they dissolve quicker if it's part of the true cross that's in there?
Definitely.
But they don't explode. It's not like a Michael Bay movie we're doing here.
I don't know. Why? Sure. Why not?
Okay. Vampires explode when stabbed by parts of the true cross.
Yeah, the true. I mean, they're bad enough against regular wood and crosses.
This is like the holiest of holy woods.
Yeah, the actual cross. Yeah, I think it'd be.
What if you stabbed them with part of like Noah's Ark? Because that's like a divinely mandated structure, and there's a lot more wood to be used from that. Because it had to house 2 of every animal, eh?
Yeah. Although, let's see.
Like half power.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the same power as the cross. Plus, the cross is like very concentrated, right? It's there's only so many. Although,
it did get like the blood on there, and that's some pretty potent stuff there too.
Yeah.
What if the blood helps to heal the vampire, and they're constantly burning in like some sort of horrible torture when they're stabbed by the true cross, shard. The blood lets them live eternally, but the wood causes them to burn and dissolve away. So there's like horrible like vampiric torture.
Yeah, I like it.
Congratulations, we now have a weapon of vampiric, torture.
I want the arc splinters to have like a 2x2 power, something like I don't know, animals attack you 2x2, or you become twinned or paired, or you get to split into 2 vampires.
That's kind of a yin yang thing.
A good vampire and an evil vampire. Maybe.
That's where the sparkling vampires come from. They got stabbed by arcs.
Stabbed by splinters of the true arc. Although now that we're talking sparkly vampires, do Mormons have cool golden plates? Yeah. What if you stabbed a vampire with a golden plate?
I think it'd hurt just as much as you'd stab like any being unable to die normally with a golden plate.
You don't think? But don't you think the Mormon golden plates would have like holy powers against vampires? Or you think no? You think vampires like Mormons?
Well, that's the thing though. It's like vampires and wood seem to be like really big on there, but gold's actually fairly soft. You'd have to take those golden plates and wrap them around something if you really want to stab somebody with it.
Yeah.
You can bludgeon a vampire pretty good, man. You put that golden plate on like the front end of a mall, and I bet you could really mess up a vampire's face that way. Leave a horrible like inverted like burnt like letter tattoo on their face.
But like, here's the thing, like, so our sparkly vampires who are Mormons,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, they're not really. Apologies to our Mormon listeners.
They might be. I haven't read enough of the books to be able to determine one way or another if that actually comes into play for them, but you know, I can dig it.
Yeah. So, and they're sort of good. So maybe they're not affected by the same relics. Or maybe because they're Mormons, they like Jesus.
Or yeah, what if like Mormonism is actually like the actual right way, and that's even if you're like a horrible creature like a vampire, if you got the right religion, it's like, oh, kind of missed the curve on being like a horrible monster there. I can still be a regular like person.
Yeah, I can't remember. Like,
boy, that would actually really consider me to sit down and sway if you presented like a supernatural creature that, you know, ascribes to a certain religion and is like more of a person. Like, I don't have to be a monster because I've accepted so-and-so as my savior, and that allows me to become a person and not just a monster despite my horrible condition.
Okay.
Like, that would definitely make me consider switching, you know, like my theological beliefs around.
Yeah.
Not just the supernatural creature.
Convert vampires. That's my religion.
It's like, I mean, killing vampires. I mean, you know, like we've seen enough movies. You can get any like lucky schmuck with like, you know, in all the woods to kill a vampire, but to convert one to a good thing, well, that's actually pretty potent. Now, that's a belief I might want to put my belief in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, Twilight has werewolves too, but werewolves are vulnerable to silver. I don't know if they are in the Twilight. I can't remember now.
They're weird werewolves though, because when they're not, you know, like actual wolves, they're fairly hairless, and that's like body waxed werewolves.
They're were-chihuahuas.
Well, I mean, the one guy's face did look an awful lot like a llama.
Were-llamas.
I can dig it. Okay, were-llamas I'll be okay with. Just as long as they don't spit at me, I'm okay.
Although llamas are pretty hairy, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's well manicured hair in most cases. They're very nicely maintained.
I got on a internet rabbit hole the other day, not yesterday, but a couple days ago, where like somebody had posted, oh, here's a hairless bear or a shaved bear. Oh my goodness, there. Oof. Fuzzy Wuzzy, you know, wasn't fuzzy. Fuzzy Wuzzy was creepy as all get out. So of course I was like, okay, that's really weird. I mean, that's pretty awesome that bears look so different without hair. So I was like, what other animals can I look at? So I was down the rabbit hole, like hairless animals, like all the different kinds of animals. What would it look like without hair? There are some very strange cats that are hairless. Some are naturally hairless. Sometimes people shave them for various reasons. Sometimes medical.
Horrible reasons and, you know, legitimate reasons, all wrapped up together.
The beauty of the internet.
Like you think a cat, you know, looks at you angrily normally. You see a cat without any like that facial fuzz, and that is a very angry looking animal.
I know, but they can't help it.
No, I guess most of them were actually bred to look that way, which is the saddest part of all. Yeah, most creatures. I mean, heck, for the longest time, the chupacabra's a horrible creature. It's like, no, it's just like a dog without fur. It's got a horrible disease. Long story short, spoiler alert, apparently that's what the chupacabra is. It's just like a wild like canid or felid.
Like a coyote or something.
With, like dogs typically, you know, like have the bug in their system, but, I mean, they've kind of evolved with it. This is like a creature that has no natural defense, and so like the wild, you know, like thing, it just goes horribly through them, just absolutely god-awful, and I can understand why people think, that's not a natural beast, that must be horrible supernatural. But, spoiler alert, they're completely mundane. They're just ugly because they're fairly furless. At least they still don't actually suck goats. Hooray!
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Your goats can rest easy, because there's no such thing as a chupacabra. There are other creatures...
Well, there's still creatures that are going to try and kill the goats and all that,
coyotes,
you know.
for example.
Yeah. But nothing's actually going to try and suck their life essence out. There's no, like, vampire goat things going out there.
Yeah.
That said, I mean, they always do seem to be, like, a very interesting part of conspiracy theories. It's like, here's the 5-finger chupacabra, and it's just a horrible mauler of it. But you get the 3-finger chupacabra, and they have psychic powers. I saw 2 of them levitating a goat, and as they sucked its life essence away until it was nothing but a dried husk. It's like,
cool.
Like, oh, that's actually kind of an interesting turn of events. Okay. I'll keep listening to conspiracy. I'm not going to believe it, but I'll keep listening. Yeah.
That's cool. So yeah, happy Easter, everybody. Should we talk about what we've been up to?
Let's you go first, I suppose.
Okay, I get to go first?
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay, I've been playing Minecraft. Back into Minecraft. There was, I guess, I had a couple months there when I sort of was away from it, so I'm trying to get back into it.
Sometimes it's good to take a bit of a break from that and get yourself collected. You come back with a clean head. Because, I mean, there have been a few games where I've had, where it's like, I play every day, and, it's like, have all the thought from the previous day. You take some time off, let everything clear out, you approach it, and it's like, oh, click, and I solved that problem. Your head was just too muddled with old thoughts.
Well, actually, I mean, it's been touch and go, because I sort of log in and then do a few little, like, improvements and stuff, and be like, oh, this Nether railway, which I have a railway through the Nether to get to
show off.
Yeah, I know, but it's you should see it. It's very run down, and it keeps getting hit by gas fireballs. So there's like big sections of track like missing, and like
that just makes it more awesome,
well, true, but you can like fall down into lava and die, and so.
Well, it is the Nether. That's kind of the thing that happens there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You ever considered just coating it with obsidian?
Well, I mean that would be even more awesome, but
or at least obsidian undercoating for the railing.
Actually, I really should. There at some point in the game, I don't know if it ever got fixed, but there was a bug where if you get knocked out of a minecart, it dumps you one block below where you're supposed to get out. So if your track is only one block thick, then it dumps you underneath that block. Then you fall however, and in my case, it's like this. Vastly way overhead over all the Nether, so I'm falling like 100 meters down into lava.
And that gives you enough time to pause the game. What are my options? Can't really do anything here. Nothing is coming back. I'm completely lost here, but that only happens if I unpause the game.
It's true. But I probably told this story already on the podcast about how there was one time when it was back when I would wear all like the best armor all the time, and like I get all the enchantments on the armor. It's all diamond armor, all enchanted. So I did fall off into lava. I was able to pause it. I was like, pause it, and I was like, okay, like I'm on fire. I have so many seconds before I'm burned in the lava. But basically, what I was able to do was I fell into the lava. I had a pickaxe, grabbed my pickaxe, dug straight down because I couldn't. Because it was in a lava ocean, right?
Yeah. You ain't swimming out of their hand, yeah.
But fortunately, the bottom is only like 5 blocks deep or something like that in lava. Only 5 meters. Only 5 meters of lava.
Eternally burning liquid stone.
Yeah, which is, come to think of it, that's not very realistic, is it, to swim in lava?
Yeah. I mean, like most things you throw on like lava, over in the Hawaiian Islands, and it just kind of like sits in there and slowly subsumes.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's a fictional game. You get apples out of oak trees in this game. Whatever.
Yeah. So I swam down to the bottom of the lava. I guess it's more like superheated liquid water of some. It might not even be lava, right?
It's like tidal lava and all that sort of thing. So yeah. I guess it's lava by name, lava by not nature, though.
So yeah, I make it to the bottom of the pool of lava, and I dig a 2x3 hole, and then I block it up with a piece of netherrack. So I'm sitting there like in this tiny hole, like the lava dries up, so I'm but I'm still burning to death, right? So
you entombed yourself.
Yeah, I entombed myself, which basically what that lets you do is now all my items, like when I finally do die, all the items explode out of my body there. The items fall over the place, but they're stuck in that, little hole.
All you have to do is find the hole at the bottom of the liquid of liquid stone.
No problem. So then, several stacks of gravel later.
So, hey, at least you found a good use for gravel and a nice little hobby to have, eh?
Yeah. So I've been I've been updating and trying to smooth out and
adding better infrastructure to your system.
Yeah, because I didn't finish. My track is just a 3 wide, and however long it needs to be. It's just, and I have like 1 meter railings on the side too, like just blocks, not fences or anything like that.
That's a little something to keep you from just accidentally wandering off the side.
Yeah, exactly. Except the problem is now that have horses, and I use horses a lot to get from place to place, the horses just automatically step up onto a
I
block.
know. That's so nice in the overworld when you're running across the plains and all that, but oh my goodness. Yeah, there have been a few times when I've had a horse where it's like, no. Whoa.
Yeah, so they'll just run right off that edge. So I've basically had to raise all of my railings up to a second block.
Probably a little better. Prevents, gas from sighting you so easily.
So it's slightly improved, but, still got more work to do on that.
Well, it's Minecraft. There's always more improvements to be done, right?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people would, the standard is if you go on YouTube and watch people who play the game a lot, they will build, the entire tunnel, surrounded on all sides with
top it up,
cobblestone, or usually it's not obsidian or
it's not like you don't have enough resources for it with little portaling and work and all that.
You could do. But I don't do if I don't have to, I don't like to do an entire tunnel because that's twice as many blocks, or 3 times sometimes.
It's more blocks and you don't get the same sight.
So I like my view too. Yeah, that's true.
In that case, I should definitely get you in with the Tinker's Construct stuff so you can get yourself some nice glass windows along the way.
Actually, yeah.
You can color them too, so you can get all red windows and make it keep it looking very netherish.
I would like that, yeah. So and the other thing has been rewatching Community, the NBC, or what used to be NBC is now on Yahoo, Community, the TV show.
I still need to start watching that. I only have so many hours a day, and I got so many things to do.
Yeah, I guess I've been watching because I'm trying to deconstruct television, because it's. So
you're not passively watching; you're still actively watching.
I'm trying to, yeah, because television is only 22 minutes worth of content, so it's actually you can build that from a very small premise, and you can just. It doesn't take much before it's suddenly, there's an episode. It doesn't take much writing as long as you sort of realize that there's sort of things that you need to hit, they call them beats, I guess. I don't know. I'm learning about beats in improv class, so I'm always thinking about scene beats and stuff. So.
Scene beats, comedy beats, drama beats.
Yeah.
Tropes. Depends how you want to clarify the whole thing.
Yeah, well, it's a thing that happens. So yeah, one item,
a dilemma, a twist, a conclusion.
Yeah, something.
In the broadest of strokes, I suppose. Provided each one's self-contained, because there are some series where it's you have to watch them each in the proper specific order, otherwise they mean nothing to you. So, yeah.
Yeah, that can happen. And it's funny, too, Community, because I never watched it in order from the start. I think I picked up in season 3 or 4 when I started. I didn't even watch most of it then. But then what I did after that is I sort of picked and choose, I'll watch this episode, watch that episode. And then now I'm sort of looking at them as a whole and saying and sort of this is where this character sort of enters the story, and they have a little arc through different episodes, and then they sort of fade out, or they do a different thing. Which is very chaotic in Community because, for example, they have the teacher, Ben Chang, or he starts out as a teacher and then he becomes a security guard and then he takes over the school, and it's very I think by the end I don't even know, I think he's a teacher again, but he's done all these crazy antics, he took over the school as a dictator, not just as a
dean,
not just the dean, but he's
the dean-tator.
He was wearing a Napoleon hat and then a military, with the medals, the dress uniform. With
actual medals, or did he actually have to make his own medals?
I don't think they mentioned
where he got them from.
Where he got them?
He probably made them himself.
Yeah, they're probably actually because Community is set in a community college, right? So they have every class that you can think of. It's sort of this community college, this fantasy community college where anything you want to So they have a drama.
Oh, so he just went to the metal shop department, asked for a bunch of fancy metals, took it over to the sewing place, had the stuff sewed up all nice and neat, and put them together.
And I think that's part of the genius of setting a show in a community college is anytime you need something, something made or something to happen, you can always say, there's, that's what the drama department does, or there's a metals working shop department that does that.
To be fair, you don't need a huge area for a metalworking shop to be done.
True.
So, You know, even if you could even have like a metal shop that's somewhat dependent on like borrowing stuff from people in the neighborhood, and the people then just like, oh yeah, if you need it, just ask, you know, and then I'll loan it to you guys for the week and all that. And that's a good sense of community that way, and it allows them to have whatever items they might need. Because that's what happened back in my hometown. For our high school, we had the metal shop, and if you needed a kind of a specific piece, there was someone who usually had it, and you make the phone calls, like, oh, for the school, okay, you just make sure you watch it so the kids don't, like, destroy it, and you don't, like, have the kids putting holes in their arms or anything like that. And it was very good that way. It's a very, very solid sense. Like, oh boy, this is someone else's, so we've got to treat this properly as we're, you know, working on the whole thing. But we do have access to it when a small place like ours wouldn't normally be able to afford such equipment. So, hooray!
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. So that does... Oh, if I can plug a thing that's happening this coming weekend.
Well, how about you just describe it instead of plug it, so that way it counts.
There is a game jam coming up in
That's
Victoria. Right. I don't think it has a name, though. Well, it's called, like, Board Game Jam, just because it's not a video game jam necessarily. It's specifically intended as a board game jam. I think you can... It's supposed to be kind of open, so you can do whatever project you want. But it's, coming up in Victoria. If you are in Victoria, I think it's like a $10 registration fee for parts and pieces, and it's a 2-day thing starting this coming Saturday.
Now, is that 2 solid days, like the people who wind up playing, like, Monopoly for 48 hours straight?
Well, I don't know actually how late they have the space. I think they might have it the entire, like, if you wanted to be there the whole, like...
So you want to play a full
night.
game of Risk. You want to play like a game of Risk 2210. You want to go full completion with 5 other people. You're going to need all 48 hours. So thankfully they have it open that long.
Although,
Knock on wood, no one's that sadistic, though. That's a kind of a hard, slow game to play. Very nice when you win, but it'll take you at least all night.
I think I should clarify that by jam, it's not play board games, it's make board games.
Oh.
That's game jam is a thing where you intensively, you join a small group of however many other you can gather together.
So the completely legal Risk 2211, the sequel.
Well, I imagine, like, because board game, the board game jam, it's not necessarily for production or for release. So you could, in theory, be like, okay, what we're doing a Risk clone. It's going to be our own, like, world. You know, we're doing our own map.
Calling it Alpha Centauri. Don't tell Sid Meier.
And maybe we'll throw in our little alternate rules that we always dreamed of having in Risk.
I do remember a classic game of Risk where everyone gets one nuke token, and you can nuke that one location, and no one can go through there any time ever.
Yeah.
So that way it'd always wind up being like some guy has Australia, but then you like nuke the southeast mainland Asia, and they can't get out. They are stuck there for the rest of the game. No one can officially win. Haha. So needless to say, that rule needed some clarification, but it was very satisfying to drop a nuke on someone else's territory.
So that's what I'm doing this coming Saturday, and I will put I know I'm not describing the branding of it too well, but it's just called Board Game Jam. But I will put a link to there's a Facebook event, so in our show notes for this show, if you are interested, you can
Google
find it that way.
Really?
You might be able to find it by Google. I don't know if they've got it, optimized or anything like that. It's still a pretty underground thing, although it is open to anybody who wants to come.
It is official. It's not like people are sneaking around. Boy, we're gonna go into the warehouse illegally and design board games.
And it might also be my Google failure to be able to find it. But I tried Googling them.
Maybe you have to Bing it instead.
Possibly.
In the end, I reserve, my final jurisdiction for whichever search engine is willing to fund us. This coming Saturday, 10 o'clock a.m. to Sunday. I won't be there all the way till Sunday. I have to leave around 3 on Sunday, but I think it goes till about 6 on Sunday. So it's basically the Saturday and Sunday. Not bad though.
I hope people come out to that if they're.
If you got a board game, you've got an idea. You say the Parker Brothers are nothing compared to your genius. Put your dinero where you put your dinner. Come on down, design a board game.
That's right. You can come if you want. You can come with a game design that you already have in mind. But my plan is to just go blank, just start.
Well, some people have like a concept, like I want to do a board game that tells this kind of story. Now, what sort of mechanics would work good with that, and what sort of ways to keep the game fun and interesting should we have?
Yeah, and then what you do at a game jam, obviously, is then you sort of talk to. I don't know if they have a period of mingling or whatever, and you have to talk to people and just find out, okay, what are you interested? What are you interested? What are your skills? Can we work together? So you get a team going. And
basically, I'm looking to design an expansion pack to Settlers of Catan where you're allowed to actually fight each other instead of live peacefully. I'm calling it Warlords of Catan. How can we make this happen? I'm probably not the first person to think up that idea, but there's just a concept for you to
that could be something. Oh, and I guess I'll mention one other thing is last year they did a theme. I think it's sort of an optional theme if you choose to go by it, but last year the theme was cocktails. That was what they chose.
So everyone has to race around the board getting the ingredients for the perfect pre-designed cocktail. Whoever makes their cocktail first wins.
That probably was one of the games produced, I would imagine. So this year, who knows what the theme is going to be? I think they don't announce it until they start. I don't know if that's...
You can't move 6 dice when you're moving around the board because you're shaken right now, not stirred. You only get 1 die 6.
Well, if only you had been at the...
It would have been bad puns aplenty, because that's apparently where my brain's at whenever it comes to designing anything.
Right. Yeah. And can I plug in other things?
Oh, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Also happening in Victoria is actually right now going on this minute is Sunday Night Improv at Paper Street Theatre, which I'm taking a class there, with Paper Street.
Not quite the alumni yet, but you are a member.
That's right. Yeah. And so they are putting on some really funny and also not just funny, but also interesting and a bit dramatic and just theatery kind of shows. And it's improv, and it's I really like what they're doing. So I'm trying to make it out to as many of those things as possible. And I will also put a link to their schedule in our show notes too, so you can look up and see if you do happen to be in Victoria, beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. Why not catch a show with the Paper Street Theatre company and
be a civilized individual. Go support the arts. Come on.
Yeah, and of course there's way too much other arts to even mention on the podcast, of course. But yeah, this
is Victoria. We are pretty heavy on the arts, I must say.
So yeah, there's lots of stuff for you to go out and see in Victoria. But I just wanted to mention that one because I happen to be taking one of their classes.
And so you can personally recommend it.
Yeah. Oh, and if you are a listener are also interested in classes. Sorry, I'm going on and on about this stuff.
No worries.
If our listeners are also interested in learning a little bit about improv, I highly recommend the improv classes that are taught at Paper Street Theatre.
If you're a DM sort of thing playing a game and you have a hard time coming up with NPCs on the fly, or you're a novelist and you just can't seem to get anything other than the stock same 3 characters time and again, maybe an improv class is the way to help shake things up for you.
Absolutely. I recommend improv to absolutely everyone who's creative. I recommend it to non-creative people, but especially to if you are interested in doing anything creative.
Your LARPing group disbanded and you still got the urge to play other people? Do a little improv, man.
Yeah,
it's like playing a different character every scene.
Yeah,
think about that, man. You have to give yourself your own experience depending on how good you think you did, because I don't think that's actually part of the rules, but there you go.
Although, yeah, my sort of I kind of wish existed was more just D&D improv, sort of combine the two somehow. I don't even know how.
Do you think we got enough time to try and get something like that worked up for the next GodaCon? Fantasy, improv.
Maybe. I mean, actually, that's how I found out. First, I found out about Paper Street was that they did a D&D game as an improv show. Not this year, but last year at GodaCon at 2014 GodaCon.
Interesting.
Show. And that's how I found out about them and everything like that. So they do actually. There is a bit of crossover there. Well, I
mean, I'm thinking about the folk music, instead of folk music, the stuff they play just for, the various conventions. Maybe we could start a thing. start at least a concept of a thing,
We absolutely could. And yeah, I
half
would love
LARP,
to hear...
half improv. Come on down and see it. GottaCon 2016.
If any of our listeners happen to be like sort of interested in that piques your imagination.
Oh, if that's a thing that already exists, please let us know on that one. Definitely.
Well, that too. But
I'd hate to reinvent the wheel. If it's already been done, it's been done. Let's pick it up.
But yeah, if you're interested in something like that, send us an email by all means. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear your ideas as well as what you think of our idea there.
If you think this thing's got legs, let us know.
So yeah, thesimulationist@gmail.com is where you can email us.
All one word, no underscores.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's... I'm done. That's all of my stuff.
That's okay, because I've had a pretty busy week myself.
Okay.
I had a Saturday off last week. Ooh, and so you know what I did? I went to the museum with my wife and my daughter.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit.
But the thing I want to talk about is what we saw on the way there and on the way back.
Okay.
Is the convention center where GottaCon is happening.
Yes.
They were doing some filming.
Ooh,
and
cool.
They had things set up as though it were like a Christmas sort of scene, and there was like a thing up on the one side called Heart's Toys with heart without like an E, and both abbreviations ended with Z's instead of S's, that sort of thing. Heart's Toys. But I tried Googling that, and I couldn't find any proper results for that, except for one mention about something that happens downtown, Victoria, on a Facebook page. It's like, it would have been nice if I could have figured out what movie was being made down there. So that way when the movie comes out, I could rent it or try and watch it when I see it. And it's like, oh, hey, I know where that scene is. That's not actually a Heart's Toys children's toy store. That's the convention center in Victoria. That's where they do GottaCon. But I wasn't able to find any of that sort of stuff there. And it's like, oh.
I think,
because I forgot to Google that up until a few days ago. And it's like, oh, there's nothing for Heart's Toys.
Yeah, I think you can probably find what movies in the past have been filmed in Victoria, and so when it comes out, you should be able to just search by location. And
actually, that might not be a bad thing to do. You get yourself some spare time, Google, movies filmed in the city you live in, find some of that stuff and see if you can figure out exactly where they were filming it.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. If our listeners are around the world in different cities, that's a fun exercise. Maybe look up and...
That said, I do recall a few episodes of The X-Files back in the day being ruined by my parents as they were pointing out exactly where in Vancouver they were filming the stuff. And it's like, dude, I'm just trying to watch the story here. Mulder's being stalked by a serial killer who happens to eat the heads of his victims in one fell bite or whatever the heck it was. It's like, can I just please pay attention, not have to figure out where in Vancouver they were filming it? It's nice you guys know, but I'm in the zone here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember watching Rambo First Blood, the first Rambo. No, it's just called First Blood, which is the first Rambo movie, but it's not called Rambo. And it was filmed in Hope, British Columbia.
Oh.
And I remember watching it.
That kind of takes the edge off. It's not like Rambo out in the real wild. It's like he was outside of Hope.
Well, that's the real wilds. Come on, that's wilder than West Virginia, which is where the book is set.
Hey, let me put it this way. It's on the western half of BC. It ain't that wild. Nothing compared to the interior. Nothing compared to the mountainous areas. It's not bad. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. But it's not wild. I mean...
I think Hope is pretty wild.
You can find civilization within 2 days of walking wherever you go around in the Hope area. You can find some... Back in where I grew up, you could go missing and walk in a direction for a week and not hit any sign of humanity.
Okay.
It is wild there. Like when they talk about rangers in the 5th edition, how they might be the only human, sentient being for, hundreds of kilometers. I'm like, so it's back home, right? It's like, so yeah, apparently there's I come from a land of rangers according to the 5th edition. So it's like, oh.
Well, is your hometown across the border from Montana? Is it?
No. We are technically we're just south of Alberta where we are, because we hit that butt end of BC that kind of would goes.
But so what's south of you though?
I think. It's not Montana? Directly, because you can't ever drive directly in anything. Okay. But I do believe it would be the Idaho area.
Oh, it's Idaho. Okay,
Spokane,
that's a tiny little
Spokane.
Idaho, little well, I don't know what you call that. Like
the point of Idaho.
Pointy hat.
Yeah.
Idaho's pointy hat that sticks into BC.
I think that would be the closest way, because, I mean, things get really hard when you're trying to go. Here's the thing. To get to my grandma's house, it wasn't just like a trip through the woods like Little Red Riding Hood went. It was like go down the one end of the mountain range, go over the pass, and then come back up the mountain range. It would have saved 3 hours try just to take a small plane and just skip over top of the mountains and then go back. Would not have been much cheaper, but it would definitely have saved you a lot of time trying to get to the Castlegar Trail region that way. And that's just like, I mean, that's why I say, Hope is pretty good, and for wild, but it's, and the island here is pretty good, but it's nothing compared to back home where there's like, no, this is effectively a wall to the sky, and you do not pass it.
Right.
I grew up in what is effectively a maze sort of thing. It just happened to be a very picturesque maze with trees all over the walls. Nice way of thinking about it, I suppose. It made the skies look better, because the mountains scrape the clouds, and they're all nice shapes of the clouds.
That's very nice. Yeah.
Even on a fully cloudy day, you can still look at the clouds and say, what shapes do you see in there, as opposed to like here, where sometimes you look out in the sky, it's like, oh, it's a gray day. Well, like one complete shade of gray, just like somebody had a quick paintbrush and just switched it. So yeah, a little different. So Hope's wild, but not wild.
All right.
But if I think anyone should, because I mean, you can do that sort of thing with my hometown area. Like when you want to get a really wild area, like say a plane crashes down in the middle of nowhere, and the people have to eat each other for survival. Well, you filmed that in my neck of the woods.
Did they?
Yeah. They filmed that one there. The cross that they put up at the end is still there. Because it's like, well, all we have to do is like do like a flyby, like as we film the cross sitting up at the top of there, and yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you need to have like a bunch of people like in the middle of nowhere and make sure that there's not going to be like a plane flying up in the background sort of thing. It's like, yeah, you come over to my end of the thing, and you can do that and get away with it, because it's so very remote that like all you have to do is check the fly schedules, and yeah, no one's going over here. So, hooray. Completely isolated. Horrible. Let's see, in other news, I failed in my prediction from last week for Minecraft. I did not make it to the Nether.
Oh.
I got a lot of extra hours for work this week, and it slowly took its edge on me. So I didn't have all the hours or all the energy I wanted. But I did make up for it by doing a lot of cave exploration. My essence berry bushes, I used to have 6. Now I've got 12. The iron ore berry stuff, I used to have 3, now I've got 10. And get this, okay, I'm making a long journey. It's about a 3-4 day journey, using my, my flying machine to get to where I want to go. And I look down, I'm on the first day's journey, so I'm motoring through the sky. I'm looking down, what's that on the ground? That looks like iron ore berry bushes. They shouldn't be growing out of the ground up here. They should be growing in, down in the dirt, but iron ore berry. I'll stop down and I'll pick some up. And so I pluck some of the iron ore berry out before I can get rid of the bush. And then, boom, the ground on the other side completely collapses in front of me. And up comes 2 creepers. And I'm like, oh, it was a trap all along. If I had plucked it from the south side instead of the north, I would have fallen down in with all the sand down there. And the creepers would have ganged up on me, one on each side. I might not have survived.
Was that built into the game?
I don't believe it was intentional, but the cave system went just high enough to hit the sand at the top. The red sand for the mesa area and all that. And so when I plucked the iron ore out of the iron ore berry bushes, which, it says, okay, put iron ore up in the top of the ceiling, which just happened to pop up into the surface area. The whole thing collapsed on the one side, and it's like, oh my goodness. And then creepers coming up, oh my goodness. That was a pretty awesome trap. I'm glad I picked that on the right side, so it didn't come down on me like full bore. But that was pretty rocking. I fully, A++ would, get tripped by that trap again. Because it had everything you need for a trap. It's got innocent looking area around there. Yeah. Something that lures you in which case the ore berry bushes. And it's like, oh, the trap is sprung, and then monsters come rushing out. It's like, ah! But, I defeated them. I beat the day, so hurrah! I did more of the deep cave work sort of thing, but get this, I found some of my old equipment.
Okay.
I had thought that when you're in like a chunk, like the entire chunk is always operating no matter how far down it is.
Yeah, is that not the case?
Apparently not, because I spent a week, of time doing stuff up above, and it's like, okay, now I've got enough resources, I'm going to go down towards the bottom of the map and get some more of the lava again. And so I go down there, and I'm going, okay, this is where I was just before I died, and there's all my weapons. Ah, my old weapons. It's like, well, I got better weapons than that now, so whatever. I guess they're backup weapons now, but it's like... Yeah. Like, I guess I was just high enough to the surface that when I died, they just kind of spewed out onto a safe zone. So it's like, oh, what an interestingly pleasant surprise. And now I know that, the chunk updates is, I guess, the same sort of radius as the monster spawn?
I guess it must be. Or, yeah, it's possible
because
mods changes that. I don't know.
Well, no, because, I have thrown out, older weapons before. Just threw them out and let them, just degrade through time. But that didn't happen, so it's like, it must not work in the same sort of fashion. So yeah, I learned a little something interesting on that end of things. I got a whole lot of lava that way too. And I started up the alchemy end of things for the Thaumcraft mod, which is a little weird because Thaumcraft is usually here's a high barrier of entrance, and usually what they offer for their magic items that you can eventually enchant, it's a lot easier to make something pretty much equivalent through the Tinker's construct or just the tree chopping mods do for you. So it's like, well, I could do the same thing, but it takes me half the effort to do it this way. Whereas starting up alchemy in Thaumcraft is actually a lot easier than going to the Nether, finding the blaze rods, coming back and starting up your work there. Mm-hmm. So I think I know what I'm doing with that. I'm just getting started though, so I'm just testing some stuff out. But I suppose if I have a little extra time tonight, maybe tomorrow, whenever, I'll start up a cauldron and I'll see if I can't make some thaumium ingots from regular iron, and if I can do that, then I'll say, okay, I've got my basic foundation going on here, I can have some interesting fun. I found diamond when I was exploring for everything. Yeah,
diamond too.
Well, I was just like, okay, to get to this lava, I'm going to want to dig up here and over around there, so that way I won't have lava coming right at me. And it's like, I recognize those blue speckles in the
I've
stone.
seen those in YouTube.
Well, this is the first time in this game. I mean, there are other games where I've gotten my previous game, I got 4 or 5 blocks of diamond just sitting around doing nothing. I just hadn't, gone exploring just for diamond or doing that. So it's like, oh, hey, bonus surprise. But I needed only 1, though. I got 6, but I needed 1 because I have a nice little mod called the deconstruction thing. You make a little table that undoes anything you put together. And I found this to be very, very good for me because, I had so much crud from all the other stuff I'd done and stuff I've accumulated and things I've taken down from, the peasants' houses and all that. And it was like, oh, now I can just, simplify everything. Oh, my 7 different colors of clay ore, I reduced down to 1 color and a whole lot of dye. So it's like, oh, very nice.
Okay, yeah.
So it allowed me to store things a little bit more efficiently that way. I got, all my half slabs that I got sitting around, I was able to condense them back to the regular stone. And so it's a little bit more roomy in my storage room now. So hooray! And it's gonna be interesting for me that way, because I don't want to see it as a table that undoes construction, that does it in reverse. I see it as more like a equal trade shop. I can't get anything extra special out of there, but I can just get the basic materials back. And that's pretty groovy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I got a lot of little things done. I took the week-long trip to the Mushroom Island to get the mycelium.
Okay.
And
had you ever been there before?
Not to that island. I'd used the admits program to do a little mapping. When I first started this map, I was like, okay, I want to try this maze. I want to take a look at these clays. So I don't want to have to start up a map and then go adventure for a week in one direction to find no clay in this area. So I started doing a searching by random seed numbers until I found something. I was like, oh, some desert here. Apparently there's a village here, and there's the mesa I want here, and that's all at the starting zone. That's excellent. And so I was using that to look out. It's at block 5,000 by block 8,500, there's a Mushroom Island biome. And I wanted some mycelium to make the dirt look good. So I went on a long journey, filled up my inventory rather quickly. Well, I found one of the areas for where the strongholds are as I was making my way. So it's like, ooh, maybe I'll come back sometime.
Cool.
That said, I have more pressing matters to attend to than, getting to the end right now.
Right, yeah.
So, I'm having fun as is. Didn't make it to the nether, but I did get a lot of good stuff done. It's looking really nice. I've got 3 of those magical trees up in the back, the blue leafed trees there, and it's looking good. Levels are just stupid easy for me to get now that I've got all those essence berry bushes I do now. So
cool.
I guess I'm going to have to start enchanting everything. This is a matter of course.
Yeah.
I need more redstone, though. I want to, for my infusion area, I want to have, the full base area around it wonderfully done up with that redstone block style, because it's such a nice color to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to go hunting down underground for even more of that this next week. And on the other hand, the paleo mod that I've got in there, down near the magma level, they have what's called volcanic rock, which is just a nice, beautiful, a black rock. Nothing much to it, sort of thing. It's you have an interesting texture when you're looking at the obsidian blocks, right?
Yeah.
This is almost a pure matte black style, and I'm like, ooh, maybe that'll work nice for area around it. It'll take me a lot of digging to get some stairs to build up, because each standard block you can combine 4 of them to get a brick block, and then 6 of those to get a few blocks for stairs. So
yeah.
If I want that, it's going to take me a little while, but I think it's going to look good in the end, and it'll be worthwhile to dig, have some fun down there as I go for more redstone and more lava.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I'm just I have so many basic resources now. It's I go to other towns. It's well, you guys can't use your smeltery blocks because you don't have anything designed up. So I just chopped everything down and took it with me. That's one of the reasons I was so full up when I was making my 6-day journey. Every time I stop out, I get rid of their smeltery. And I was able to reduce that all down to the primal blocks, bricks that I need that I can now combine with glass to turn into the stuff I use to store my lava with. So it's oh boy! One step less in making a whole lot of these, well, I call them light cubes. They just use 4, scoops of lava to generate light. Mm-hmm. And I think it looks a little bit better, in my opinion, than glowstone. It works better with the street color I'm working with.
Okay.
So, aesthetics, I suppose. But now I've one step less. Now all I have to do is get a whole lot of sand turned into glass to work the whole thing. It's okay, whatever. Because, that's the slowest part of it, is right now is converting in a smeltery, the glass into the stuff. Although maybe I should split it and do half as that kind of glass and half as the regular glass from, vanilla thing. Because either one's good for making the thing. So maybe I could cut my time down a little bit, have it working in the background. But having a lot of fun actually getting stuff done. Because, now that I've got the magical, wood, the high-end stuff, it's I can create the alchemy stuff. So I did, and I created all sorts of stuff because I needed that one type of wood. No other wood would do. So I was ooh, I'm upgrading my stuff, and I'm getting better magical gear now. And hooray! It's occupying my time and making me happy.
That is good.
Okay, here's my prediction for next week. I will have an arcane lamp built. And it's an interesting one because it's kind of like a torch. You can place it up on a top of a ceiling, so you can have it hanging directly down, though. And any area within 40 blocks of that thing, up, not certain if it's line of sight only, or if it'll go through walls, but any area that's light level 7 or lower, it'll send out a small light node to, and so it'll light up a 40 area radius around it. Because remember, only you can prevent zombie apocalypse. So that'll be nice to have in my structure, so I don't have torches everywhere, especially in my the little library I'm building. I don't actually want torches. Torch plus book equals fire, right?
Yeah.
So I think it would be nice to build it with some actual lanterns and lamps going up there and make it look a little bit more authentic.
Yep.
That's it. In my trading, in my journey, I also found a few more people willing to trade stuff for the Mistcraft mod, and I found one page very tantalizing. It's liquid nickel. I have no idea which mod has nickel, but I want to try and create a map that has where instead of water, it's liquid nickel just floating around there. So it's I want to get that. I want to get some scoops. I want to see what I can do with that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
That said, I also found a page that allowed me to do a Skyland sort of thing, where everything's just like a floating island in the sky. And because I have the ability to create a small flying machine, it's not too hard to go from island to island. I might have a lot of fun with that. So, who knows which way I wind up going in this next week, but hopefully I get it all done, because I got the next 2 days off, and I really want to have some fun and relax. Although, I must say, yesterday was my 5th year anniversary with my wife. Hooray!
Congratulations.
We didn't celebrate it. We're celebrating it on the Monday, because she's got the day off, I'll have the day off, and that way we can all do something together without having to work our schedules and taking extra days off. Mm-hmm. So, hooray! 5 years. That's the paper anniversary, I believe.
Okay.
Is it?
Sure. We can Google
it's either
that
paper
after.
or wood. I can never remember the order it goes, because the British use a different system than Americans do for what it's supposed to qualify as. And it's like,
Which do we go with? Do we go with the...
That's the thing. We're right next to America, but we are part of the Dominion. The Greater Commonwealth.
The
it's
Commonwealth,
like,
yeah.
Well, we are the Dominion of Canada.
Yeah.
So it's like, we got a pretty decent claim either way. Like, what happens? Like, do I get her something made out of wood wrapped in paper?
I guess you just have to get her both, yeah. Which is fine at the wood and paper anniversary, because it's wood and paper. But when I
hope when the time comes,
this is the gold/diamond anniversary. You have to get both.
I would not mind that. If I could afford it, I'd be getting her that this year. I think she's fully deserving of something full of gold and diamonds. I just would have my knees broken for buying her stuff like that I cannot truly afford.
Yeah, except we don't break knees in Canada. I mean,
I'm certain if you go as deep in debt as I would, CIBC would come calling with a very unhappy group of bankers.
I still don't think they can break your knees. I mean, worst case
I have
scenario,
signed a lot of contracts with them. I don't know how arcane some of them are. Maybe they'll allow it.
I think they might be able to send you to jail. I'm not sure how that even works.
Could I ask just for my knee broken instead of going to jail? Is that like a lesser penalty?
I don't think so. I think it came up a little while ago in one of these it might have been the Philippines even, but it was one of these Southeast Asian countries, and they were saying, like, no, people, maybe it was Taiwan, like, prisoners are literally requesting corporal punishment in lieu of time served. They're like, oh, well, if I can get out...
Can't you just cane the heck out of my backside?
Just give me some, canings. I'll take it. I mean, the prisoner is opting for it. But I think human rights were like, we can't let that be an acceptable part of the system because it's too easy to abuse.
Well, especially for repeat criminals. As long as you can take the heat, you can just, get off without the time, right?
I wasn't thinking on the criminal side, although possibly that too. But yeah, just on the fact that, now we're allowed to torture because they want to be tortured.
Well, here's the thing. I remember
he likes it.
I remember back in the grade school days, we had a teacher, and if you swore in his class, you either got a detention or you had to put soap in your mouth for 60 seconds. And one person said, "Isn't that cruel and unusual punishment?" And the teacher says, "No, because you had the option. You don't have to put the soap in your mouth. You can just take a detention if you want." And they didn't want to take. I remember one guy. He goes, "I don't want the detention," so he puts the soap in his mouth. And, it gets the soap out after 60 seconds. Ugh, that tastes like... And then he swears again. So the teacher isn't even left the room. He's got the piece of soap on like some paper towel, turn right back around, goes back into the mouth. You want the detention or another 60 seconds? Like, Okay, fortunately, that kid got himself from swearing a second time on that, matter of that time, so he didn't have to keep it in for 2 minutes. So he's actually learning his lesson slowly but steadily.
Well, I suppose, yeah, you're learning something. I don't know if it's...
Maybe not to swear so cavalierly, like make sure the teacher's out of the room before you do it, buddy.
Yeah, I guess you learn about, the consequences of pissing someone off.
Well, the teacher wasn't even mad. It was just a matter of course. You don't swear in this, in my room sort of thing. We got to keep things civil. It was a social class, so, it's about social things. So you keep things nice and proper and civilized in this lesson of civilization. Or, you can just take the detention, which is, time served sort of thing for some people. Yeah. But, so long as, I believe it's an option. They don't have to have it. It's like, you're getting caned, buddy, as a final verdict by a judge. I think it might be allowed. If they were to take it up with the higher end courts, it's like, well, no, they had the option to go another route. It's not really an enforced thing. It's not cruel and unusual if they can opt elsewhere.
Yeah, I guess so. And I think in Singapore they just have caning. It's just a thing they do. So it's not like that. I think that region of the world I think it's sort of in some places, anyways, it's accepted. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad argument. I don't know. Anyways, that's not. I didn't.
I'm sure
really
some of our stuff seems weird to them.
But probably, yeah.
What do you mean minimum security? They could just like jump the fence and walk out? Like what are you guys, stupid? It's like, oh, we reserve it for the white collar people. If they leave, then it becomes really illegal, and then they lose a lot of stuff. So it's like we're holding their, all their property.
Right.
Hostage.
Did we finish recapping your week in...
By and large,
okay.
I think, yeah. There's a whole bunch of little things going on, but I had a lot of extra work this week, so I'm pretty darn tired.
Oh, good.
But that's okay, because we got caffeine.
And I wanted to... Can we get to a main topic?
Yeah, I think we have a good main topic this week. Because just before the podcast, we were talking about the Greeks, because the Greeks had some really nice ideas and then some really weird ideas. For people that were pretty logical-minded, they had some weird ideas about, like, reality. And then we're mentioning, like, but, they were, like, the people who came up with the Republic. They're pretty good. Like, they're the fathers of democracy, they call them. And then you look at their gods, and it's like, really not the same thing. Their gods are not based on any sort of democratic principle, not any sort of republic-based principle. It's, speaking of caffeine, there we go, like, top up the whole thing there. Because, you could argue that Zeus was the head of the pantheon due to a meritocracy. He killed his father, Cronus, who was eating all the brothers and sisters who were the ones who would become the core pantheon. So you could make it a decent argument that, a meritocracy is not that bad a way to set up your divine hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, this is coming from the people who designed the Republic as a concept. And why did the gods not vote the head in? Like each god puts in a vote who's the leader of the gods? It's like, oh, I guess it's Zeus because he saved our lives. We were all being digested by our dad's stomach. He's the one that got tricked and slew him when the time came.
Yeah, so it's curious why didn't Athens? Even if the sort of democratic ideal was short-lived and limited geographically to a couple of city-states, Athens in particular. But why didn't that city-state come up with a more why didn't they apply their democracy to their mythology and be like, oh, here's our mythology, here's our version of the gods?
And why didn't the Romans pick up on that? Because the Romans were really good at taking ideas and adding it to their own. Because, say what you want about them being we're warmongering, we take over the known world sort of thing. They were pretty decent, really respectful. They added a lot of gods to the, the Roman pantheon by saying, oh, okay, your god's in here too.
Yeah.
And why did they have to come up with oh, this god is also known by this name, and that's how come the god's always been there? It's why not okay, this is the god for here, and then we took over, and then this god joined the pantheon the same way that, their state joined our nation. Because, logic follows through, and, they were a logical sort of people. They could be a logical people. There's always illogical people anywhere you go. So they could be a very logical people, but they seem to just try and re-edit their own theological history to make sure that the god was always there. Just know him as this name instead.
Yeah.
And that seems a little weird. And you see that in other areas too, like ancient Egypt. You head south of the Mediterranean. They did a lot of that sort of stuff where they'd mix, and combine, and then they'd retell the story a little differently depending on this or that to change and stuff. I'll grant them extra leniency. Ancient Egypt accounts of half of the human history civilization. It is a long, series of dynasties there. So
yeah,
you can't expect it to remain immutable for 6,000 years. Things change. You just can't tell the story the same way every darn time.
Yeah, so they went through a few different versions of their pantheon.
They even hybridized Hermes with their thoughts to create that Hermes Trismegistus guy.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of great. It's like fusion dance. Ah, great. Now we got a fusion god. It's pretty boss. It's an interesting idea.
Yep.
But at least with them, the pharaohs were the divine blood of them, so they have a similar sort of thing there. But it seems rather weird when you start looking at all the different pantheons and how everything goes about, and how it's basically just the same sort of system. It's like a family-based divine grouping.
Yeah, the gods are basically elevated aristocrats.
Yeah, and that almost seemed like a little disappointing, because, I mean, especially because it winds up getting adopted into D&D for almost every campaign style. It's like, oh, what was it? The Races of Destiny book had the Illuminarians, with the guys with the letters around their heads. Illumians, yes.
Something like that.
They have like a bunch of demigods. How did they all get together? Well, they're not all brothers and sisters. They ascended.
Right.
And so they've each got their own history and their own thing going on, and each one, there at one time there wasn't this god, and then this god, came from mortal to god, and that's how they came in. And so they don't have to try and rework their own history to describe how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I dig that.
Well, I mean, imagine if, something happened, something like your earthly senate, if your senators die and they become divine senators, and that would be like an incentive not to actually murder earthly senators, because then they just become gods.
Strike me down now, I'll become more powerful than you can even imagine.
Something like that. Yeah.
On the other hand, as a divine figure, you really couldn't bribe them with very much, aside from the occasional sacrificial oxen or something like that. So less bribery.
Okay, so yeah, kill their mortal selves.
Oh, what if you did that? It's like a thing because D&D's got necromancy sort of thing. You could okay, you're going to become a member of the Senate and replacing the old senator. So we will kill you, then bring you back as a specific form of undead, so that you may be uncorruptible through mundane desires. Does that sound like an interesting sort of
I like it. I like you could have a country ruled like that. I mean, the players. I like the thought that the PCs would be, react to it, be like, "Are you serious? Your Senate is all undead?" Yeah, it's the most efficient way to do it.
We don't let them out of the building and all that sort of thing. They each have a 7-year term before they decompose it and finally go for good, and then we get a new person in. You can't filibuster this thing around. They will just keep on going. There's nobody bowing out for bathroom breaks or for sleeping. And they're incorruptible. You can't bribe them with food, with women, with riches, because they got a 7-year life expectancy, and then that's it. So you could make a decent I'll say fictional pseudo medieval argument on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what sort of undead would they wind up being for this sort of thing? Because you want something that's effectively pure. So would they wind up being ghosts, or they couldn't even have a physical form? They couldn't even enjoy the flavor of the wine on their dead tongues or anything like that? Or
well, my first thought was liches, just because that seems to be
I don't know. As a person who sees the people who are in Congress down in America, I really don't want them to have any real supernatural powers, and liches seem a little but powerful.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Some sort of, I guess demi-lich is even more powerful, so I guess Wait, if demi-lich is more powerful than a lich, would it have to be a double lich for less power? I am a deca-lich, which means I actually have 1/10 the power of a regular lich.
A deci-lich. A hepta-lich. No, well, if demi-lich is bigger, then semi-lich would be half, right? Semi-demi. I don't know if those are the same.
Maybe Gygax should have thought about how he named his liches. Instead of having a demi-lich, we could have had a hyper-lich. Well, and that seems rather sad that we don't now, that I say it out loud, because a hyper-lich sounds like a really high-end enemy.
Hyper-lich is good. So a demigod, is that a half-god or
a small god or a godling, half-god.
Yeah.
Is that somehow how they term godlings?
So
but liches seem to go in reverse. The less of the body it has, the more powerful it is.
Yeah.
Because the demi-lich is just the skull remains with a whole bunch of fancy gem teeth.
And
because you want your skull to be pimped out when you're a lich, apparently. I don't understand that 100%, but whatever.
Well, they might be focus crystals of some kind.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have them as horns stuck in the head, man? Look at my rock, and you want to paint this on the side of a van.
Is that how all wizards are?
I imagine, given the amount of wizards painted on the side of vans since the 70s, that's just kind of
wizards and vans kind of go together.
It's become a thing. I'm a little surprised they haven't tried to work vans in as some sort of wizard con.
Well,
forget you ride a horse. The paladin summons a horse. I conjure a van. Everyone hop in the back. We're rocking it.
Mystery Machine.
Doesn't there like an adventuring party kind of like remind you of like know Mystery Inc?
Yes, they do.
There you go.
Call back to NPC Cast. They did an episode on, what did they mention? Oh, Scoobying, yeah. On the NPC Cast, which you can find at NPC Cast on Twitter. And follow me on Twitter. Oh, at Spaceboot1. That's me.
Yeah, numeral 1, not ONE.
Yeah, Spaceboot numeral 1. I just before we started podcasting, I got a new follower, Oak Bay Computers.
Oh.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I believe it's Oak Bay Computers. So congratulations, Oak Bay Computers, on following us. We'll try and have good quality tweets to be had, so you will at least enjoy the feed.
Yeah, and this plug for your business is free. The next, no, I'm kidding. They're local, good people, so yeah.
And I hope they get a whole lot of extra business from the closing down of Future Shop, at least for a week.
Oh yeah, that happened too.
Yeah. I don't like talking about that because they did the same thing to the Best Buy a couple of years before, just across the street.
Thanks for letting me sneak in the social media, and now back to regular programming, I suppose.
Yes.
Wherever we were.
Well, we can go back to the main topic. We were getting off on some interesting tangents.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, because we had more to say about sort of politics and divinity, and I don't know, like, can deities be left-wing, right-wing, or I guess D&D, the split of the day is the alignments. Yeah, I can see. Well, that's the thing is, you say like, oh, he's a Republican war hawk, and it's like, well, that could be like a lawful neutral sort of thing, like a St. Cuthbert sort of style. Or if do you want to vilify them, you could say that's like like the lawful evil Hextor sort of thing. War hawk. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's the objective alignment versus the subjective alignment, depending on which angle you're looking at it from. That said, we're from Canada, so like even the American liberals still kind of conservative to our views. Yeah, so and it's kind of a sliding scale. It's either conservative versus very conservative. I don't know if we can. I mean, that might even be almost another axis, the left wing, right wing. I mean, does it even make sense to apply it to medieval world? But yeah,
that would fulfill my desire to turn the alignment grid into an alignment cube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
but yeah, right wing people say, oh well, we're all about freedom, we're about free markets, we're about a little bit of, I don't know, what anarcho-capitalism, stuff like that. Whereas liberalism, the word liberal literally means free.
Which is weird, because they're both technically arguing the same thing, but, so they can't agree.
We like this kind of freedom. We like this kind of freedom.
It's the land of the free down in America. So that's a nice way of looking at it. Two parties trying to argue which is the better freedom. Yeah. Doesn't that take a lot of the acid out of the whole system then, eh? It's like, because, a lot of people say, like, the politics in America is pretty acerbic and partisan. It's like, no. They're arguing which is the better freedom.
Well,
that's what they have to argue over, which freedom is a better freedom to have.
Yeah, if you believed that they were actually arguing about ideological stuff.
It's the best possible way to look at it.
Yeah, if you gave both parties the benefit of the doubt and said that, oh, yeah, no, there's no money or corruption involved, then yeah, ideologically they have two different approaches to making the country the freest it can be. Yeah.
And I firmly believe there's people on each party thinking that's how they're trying to do it. We're just trying to make it as good a free country as possible.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think people generally believe that they're doing the right thing.
But yeah, when you apply a lot of this stuff, like I don't think that you can apply liberal versus conservative to a divine sort of thing. We believe in small, like worships. We believe in big churches, sort of thing. Gods get out of our bedrooms. Gods belong in every bedroom. It's like I don't know, man. Like, shouldn't only the God of the bedroom belong in the bedroom? God of the hearth goes to the hearth, and God of the field stays outdoors.
Well, I think, like, sort of, if you take real-world examples, churches love to sort of get involved in other areas, sort of, because it's a way to gain power and gain influence and be like, no, we're the real authority, whether it comes to the bedroom or the whatever.
Well, that, and let's face it, you look at, like, Christianity, and Jesus was, definitely, get out there and, like, go help people. So at least they're trying to get out there, and what they believe is helping people, but there's a big argument to be had as to whether or not they are. Mm-hmm. It's like, put clothes on the homeless? Sure, we can do that. It's like that's a good thing we do. And what else? Apparently it says you got to do things this way, so knock it off over there. It's for your own good. We're helping.
Yeah, a little bit of that. A little bit of that moralization, and which
that's kind of one of the reasons I prefer the smaller gods concept in like a non like a single god concept. That's why I do like the D&D thing, and I don't think I'll ever try a one religion like a campaign
world with only one religion.
Well, simply because it just works out to like one person trying to like encompass everything. Even for a god, it gets things rather spread out. Like if I I'm in like a divine theocracy sort of whatever thing, and it's going to wind up being, and I would say like, okay, what are the practices in the bedroom going to be? I'm going to ask the clerics of Aphrodite. Okay. Although Zeus fools around enough, maybe I'll get like a side opinion from them and all that. But it's not like I'm going to go to Hephaestus and say, what do you think should be happening in the bedroom, Hephaestus? He's like, he's the god of like smiths and all that sort of thing. He makes things. If I want to know like how you're going to be building pipes and good infrastructure for a city, I'll be talking with him. But with the small guys, you get that nice narrow expertise focus. And it's kind of like asking a guy on the street versus going to a specialist, at a university or in a consulting firm. So that's kind of how I prefer to see it, and that's kind of why I like the small gods, the very focused thing going on. Which is why I actually have never been that big of a fan of Bacchum. Like, I respect Gygax and all the gods he designed up, but Bacchum is the god of knowledge as an all-general. No, man, you get like 8 gods, one for each, like school of magic sort of thing. There's all specialists. That's how it rolls.
Okay. Well, they did 8 sort of big wizards.
Yeah, but it's not quite the same as like 8 gods, one focused in each sort of, like school of magic. And especially because that's the like one of the most reoccurring things in D&D. You got your alignment system, you got your 8 schools of magic, and like even the cosmos itself changes shape across various editions.
Yeah.
8 schools of magic, 9 alignments in a 3x3 grid.
Well, 4th edition didn't have those, but
I never heard of 4th edition in my life.
Yeah.
Okay, technically back in the original D&D there was only lawful, neutral, chaotic sort of thing. But they managed to retcon that one. If you read 3rd edition stuff on like the Book of Devils and all that, it says that originally there was there's like lawful, neutral, and chaotic, and the chaos was like coming from the abyss with its eternal stuff, and then the gods got tired of fighting forever on these things because there's an endless amount because it's chaos. It keeps spawning the darn stuff, and so they come up with like a group of things that'll fight forever, and they call them the devils, and that's actually what the Blood War's about. Like, the devils have a contract with the gods. We will always fight the demons so that you won't have to. We are the force that fights them. And then it's, but we tricked you, so now some of the souls come to us instead of to the gods. And the gods are like, what? How could you trick us? It's like, because we're evil. Like, evil? What the heck is evil? And then all of a sudden, like, the concept of good and evil applies in on the whole thing. And, like, gods that were, like, used to stand, buddy next to each other. You're like, hey, we're both lawful gods. So I'm like, I'm lawful good, you're lawful evil. That's the break that split Hieronius and Hextor from being like good brother gods to like, I'll kill you, brother, sort of, hands at each other's necks sort of thing. And that's like, so like if you're playing the original D&D with only its lawful, neutral, chaotic alignments, that was a time before the good evil thing was a really distinct. Oh my goodness. And so that way you can retcon it into a very old campaign that way. And I think that's kind of groovy. Which is also one of the reasons why I want to turn the alignment grid into a cube if I can, to find another axis to put it on, because that would be like another shift in the whole cosmological thinking process.
Well, I like the thought that you could have a Hyborian campaign, like an Age of Conan type of campaign.
A time before time, when myths, before the myths themselves were real.
Yeah.
And of course, that said, I still think you can have some very interesting works going on within like a vast alignment system if you work the gods right. Like as I was saying, if it's only the lawful, neutral, chaotic, you can have like a person who would be acting lawful evil and a person who would be acting lawful good together, and they wouldn't see anything wrong with that because lawful, good, evil. Like what the heck does that mean? So they kind of like just words, man. It doesn't mean anything until that like the devil showed like the good versus evil side of things, it's like that didn't even apply. So you can think of like the gods helping define that, and then what's outside of there. The Scarred Lands campaign from the Sword and Sorcery Studios showed that particularly well, because they had like 9 gods, well technically 8 gods and a titan, for the true neutral stuff, okay. But one alignment for each of them, and then they had like the other titans, though, like the forebearers of the gods, and they were like so primal, beings of creation and destruction. The alignment didn't even really apply to them as any real concept. Mm-hmm. And they were seeking to undo what the gods have done, because we create and destroy, and you're not letting us destroy. That's kind of messed up, dude. And the gods are saying, no, like we're building something better than your primal chaos right now. Except for the neutral titan, who's actually like the goddess of earth, so that's where you get your druid stuff from. And she's like, hey, it kind of hurts to destroy it, because that's me you're destroying there, so knock it off. Paraphrased, of course. Yeah. And so in that case, like, you had something beyond the alignment system as it was set up. So you could have the good, the evil, the lawful, the chaotic, all working together, because they were all working under that one pantheon. And then nobody saw any issues with the whole thing, because, you're fighting something beyond the pantheon stuff. And that's kind of also one of the reasons I like the far realm idea. Mm-hmm. It's like, alignment don't even matter, whatever. You're out there and all that. It's beyond anything that's in the scope of traditional D&D. And so, that way, if you set up the gods like as a decent enough, solidly knit pantheon, not just a loose thing like what they have in regular D&D, a really solid knit group of gods, more towards like the Nordic pantheon. Mm-hmm. Then you can have like, oh yes, I am, a cleric of Loki, the trickster god, and I'm chaotic neutral, and then you got like a lawful neutral guy on the other side. But you know what? He's still part of the, like the same divine hierarchy, so, you guys are underneath that divine umbrella, so mm-hmm. It's like you and me versus them, and as long as you're fighting a them, it doesn't matter with this alignment difference. And that is something that I really always want to encourage for any game I'm in, or especially, setting up, because that way everyone can play whatever alignment they want, so long as they're not backstabbing each other and they're focused all in the same direction, go for it. Yeah. Your paladin and the assassin are working side by side, killing horrible beasts from beyond, the pantheon's jurisdictions.
There's another example of what you brought up about the Norse, although Norse means north, but the Norse pantheon.
The Nordic.
What you might find in D&D if you look around for a little while, or explore the various books, is that some of the pantheons, like the Gnomish pantheon, the Dwarven pantheon, if you read some of the supplemental material, there is, like, yes, there's the king of the dwarf gods, Moradin, yeah, but he also has a court, and sometimes they might be deities, or they might be deific servants, or angels, dwarf angels, or whatever that would be.
I don't picture wings, but I do picture like some sort of like Zorn-like movement ability, because dwarves in the earth and all that.
Yeah, digging angels, earth angels,
diggy angel. Earth angel. Okay, I can go with that. Yeah.
But actually that's not really what it is. But what it is the dwarves have a pantheon, like
the dwarven pantheon.
Yeah, and they believe that there's this trickster dwarf deity. I can't remember the name of the dwarf deity, but he ends up being the deity of the dark dwarves, the Duergar. Or
the ones that are really deep down in the Underdark areas.
Yeah, and it's sort of like the way that works is that maybe there was sort of a proto-dwarven society where all the dwarves were one, and then they sort of split off for whatever reason, became another kingdom, or had a civil war maybe, and then they both had the same pantheon, but then this dwarf society is like, no, we're Moradin is like our favorite, so we make everything about him, but we still believe in the other guys, and we have a few rogues and stuff who like choose that guy as their patron. But then over here you have the Dark Dwarf Kingdom, like a little deeper, deeper subterranean wise. One
level down, because I mean the Underdark is divided into like 3 areas, like your upper Underdark, your middle Underdark, and the creepy weird stuff at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. And then these guys are like, no, like, yes, we still believe in Moradin, and he may have done some kind of useful things in the beginning, helping dwarves get started,
but he has abandoned us. We follow the god who listens to us and helps us in our horrible kids. I mean, have you seen the things that are down here, Moradin is not helping us against this. Do you see how many tentacles that thing had there? I got no clue. Morden didn't even come up with a name for that. Our God at least named that thing. Now we know what we're fighting.
And I wish I could remember. It's like Clangeddon, Silverbeard.
Clangeddon. Oh no, he's not the deep dark one. He's the one that is living over in the Bitopia area.
Oh, he's a no.
No, he's one of the really good lawful ones because
right.
They got like Mount Clangeddon over there.
Okay.
And so it's like a perfect mountain. Nothing like rolling off the side, no loose rocks. It's a perfect idealized mountain. So he's a neutral good, I believe.
Okay, so he's a different guy. But so you have these pantheons.
And you got the same with the gnomes. Definitely, I remember that. At least like a half dozen gnome deities.
Yeah, the gnomes did that. And you could...
The elves, of course, I got that.
Yeah. There's an elven court. And
definitely the elven court is, I believe, what its proper name is. There are other designs and organizations. I think the gnomes are more like a family is how it works. Like the dark one is just like a mirror reflection, but he's still considered like a brother because gnomes are very big on family.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because these pantheons, just like we were talking about with the Greek pantheon, is that they are sort of interrelated, and it does, like, that trickster deity who's technically evil occasionally shows up at, parties and stuff, and it's like, well, I guess we have to let him in, and he is family. Sort of. Well, I mean,
even
though he does curse all of our firstborns and give them a spindle. And
you do see some other stuff like that, though, in like the Christianity thing, because you got like that horrible story about was it Job?
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy, and God's like, oh, look at this man. He is like one of the best worshippers ever. And then the devil's sitting next to God and saying, well, of course he is. You give him all the stuff. And it's like, it's never explained in the story what the heck Satan is doing sitting right next to him. On his left-hand side, just sitting there. It's like
here's Jesus on the right, and then there's Satan over there.
And it's like, whoa, back up, guys. Let's just tell this story a little bit more. I think there's something interesting to be told here.
Like, why is Satan...
Do they play poker up there? Like, does Satan still get invited once a week? It's like, I am the God of, all of creation, and I cast you down, but hey, I'm a forgiving God. I'll let you come out for poker once a week. Maybe we can chat this out as we go about things.
I feel like their version of poker is dicking with Job, basically.
Yeah, that was, that's basically
poker.
the bet they made, isn't it? The devil says, you take away all his stuff, and, then he'll curse you out. It's like, God's like, yeah, just
God
watch it.
calls his bluff. And
it still seems really bad because it's like, oh hey, Mrs. Job and all the sons of Job is like, they get up to the pearly gates and God's like, you had to die because I needed to prove a point to Satan. It's like, well, what was he doing up there chatting in your ear? Like, if ever there was a really decent reason for reincarnation, it'd be something like that. It's okay, I had to prove a point, but you don't have to stay up here. You do have the option of reincarnating. You can come back and I will let you have a fairly easy, nice life. I might test you, because that's how God I am. I might test you. Mm-hmm. But I think that would be a very good reason for at least somebody getting reincarnation. Because like Mrs. Job and the sons and daughters of Job really got the short end of it. Job is the person they focus on, and he got things pretty bad. But his wife and children, they got things much worse. They did not survive that.
Yeah, he just died.
I'm okay with all the goats and the cows and all his dying, because apparently they don't have souls.
No souls, it's fair.
And even if they die, you can do something with the bodies. I mean, mulch them up or meat, depending on how they died, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But at least there's something you can do, with a human beings. You just bury them, and that's about it.
Like, women were not considered. I mean, I guess
3/5 of a person they were considered as, I believe, at the time.
I think that's
how they came up with that ratio too is a little bit beyond me.
That's a different minority.
I would have loved to have been like a fly on the wall on that conversation. How they came up with that ratio. 3/6, 4/6, 2/6. Oh, okay. Average it out. 3/6. Well, fine, okay.
Right.
Whatever. Like, no, we got to do it with fists. Why fists? Trust me on this. I got a whole line of logic in this. Okay. Yeah, fists. It's got to be fists. It can't be any other ratio we were working with. We can't do sevenths at all. It's got to be fists. He makes a good point.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking...
They left out the best parts sometimes in the Bible.
What if reincarnation was possible, but it's just heaven is that good that nobody's like... Yeah, you could reincarnate back in crummy old Earth, and even if you're super rich, like you're Bill Gates, and you're like, yeah, you could reincarnate in your crummy old palatial mansion and your swimming pools and all that cash, or you could hang out in heaven, which is awesome.
Though, I from what I've heard of heaven, it doesn't seem like an exciting place.
Maybe not.
It seems actually kind of boring, but I said, what about people with a really hard work ethic? It's like, I worked every day of my life, not because I wanted to get into heaven, but because I want to make the world a better place. I will keep reincarnating to come on back so I can keep working at it. I can keep building this. I can keep trying again.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of a good point, because people do seem, like, a lot of people care about the Earth. And
I like vacation. I like time off, but gradually it wears on you, and I don't find myself to be the same person after even a short period of like not having anything to really focus. Like, I have to go to work, I have to keep doing this, I have to do that, because I find it makes me a better person. It hardens me and makes me more.
Okay, new twist.
Okay.
Heaven is horrible, and there's tons of work to do. It's like way worse than Earth. Like, there's plagues, and there's people dying of AIDS, and there's like all this bad stuff happening.
So it's just like nightmare mode, so like in Diablo or something.
Yeah.
In that case, no, I'll go back. I'll perfect the first one before we'll send everyone up to the next.
So you're still sticking with the reincarnation.
Well, in that case, it's like this is a horrible area here that needs help, but I was working on this first project, and I shouldn't start a second before I'm done the first.
Well, you're really determined to stay on Earth.
I don't know. Maybe if there's something else to do. I mean, like, is there, like, could I help people out in purgatory? Like, is there people ascending? Like, could I be like a tour guide to help people up, like a Sherpa or something, to heaven?
If it gets you to not go back to Earth, I am throwing it in.
Okay, I am a purgatory Sherpa. After I die,
helping people climb the mountain of purgatory or whatever they have to. Or
I think it's a lot of people.
The brambles of purgatory.
I think it's a lot of people buried like face down, like.
Yeah, from what I remember in Dante's.
That was a little allegorical, but whatever. But yeah. So long as I'm doing something, because I mean, apparently God's great, but praising Him all the time, I don't know. And that's why one of the other reasons why I like the pantheons out there in the D&D stuff is because you can apparently go there and see what happens. Like, with a decent enough spell, you can literally go there and see what goes on.
That's true. Yeah.
And
you pick out your afterlife, like the hole that you're going to be screaming out of for us, if you're a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yep, I'll be buried upside down in that hole right there. So.
But you're saying if I make a contract with you guys, I could skip this larval worm stage and go straight up to like a humanoid demon of a form, eh? Well, I don't want to go with the worm thing, and I'm definitely not getting into any of the higher planes, so I guess I should be signing this contract. Do I get anything? No, okay, I just get to skip the worm stage. Good enough, man. Yeah. That said, even Orcus apparently started out as a worm. He built it. I mean,
uplifting.
I don't. Well, I'm not one to extol the virtues of the various demon lords, but at least he built his domain. He started worm and he worked his way up.
He built it himself.
I respect him. He didn't start off as a demon lord from time immemorial. He started off as like a horrible person, died, came back as a worm, and built himself back up once more.
Well, I mean, sure, he built himself up, but also, like, didn't he have a lot of, like, sort of helping hands throughout, like, various points of being a worm? Like, he wouldn't have been able to ascend if he couldn't have, had a little help along the way. So this is the case that we make for the government helping people out.
Well, I mean, you got to help out your own kind, sort of thing, So, like a demon helping out and like a worm, sort of thing, when the chance comes. That said, I mean, Orcus is the reason, apparently, now in 5th edition that we have ghouls.
Yeah. Well, I think he's been referred to at previous points in history as the Ghoul King.
It's not actually him. It's like the first, he had like an elven worshipper.
Or did he kill the Ghoul King?
No, he had an elven worshipper that really dug him and was like, oh boy, this god of the, is he going to wind up being a god of the dead at some point? I'm going to worship him and I'm going to get in on the ground floor of this organization. Yeah. Yeah. So how should I show my devotion? I will eat the flesh of my dead kin. And he became like the first ghoul. But as it says in there, eventually, when Orcus died for a little bit, he came back. So it's not like it was a permanent thing. But he's he learns the error of his ways, appeals to the elven gods, and they absolve him of his sins. And so, yay! No more the ghoul lord himself, and that's why elves are no longer affected by ghoul's paralyzing touch.
Yeah.
And that's all I really want. I'm still not a big fan of elves being immune to, a ghoul's touch, but at least there's an in-game reason for it now.
Yeah,
that's all I'm asking.
There's a story you can tell. Although, maybe... I always love the thing that you sometimes get in Planescape where the unreliable narrative is like, maybe that's the reason, or maybe there's a deeper, more sinister, possibly, reason. Although that reason is itself a little bit sinister and a little bit creepy.
I do like at least having all possible contingencies be somewhat valid.
Yeah.
That's one of the best parts of the Planescape campaign.
Yeah. Are there any other, like, I don't know, divine, like, is there a divine host somewhere that's... Because I think that would be kind of cool to have, like a host of maybe not so powerful deities that sort of combine into, like...
They Pantheon up, or they, like, Voltron up.
Yeah, something like that. I feel like
sort of Divine Power Rangers thing going on, where they get their Megazord when they all come together.
Yeah, I feel like it must be done. It must have been done at some point, like something literally called the host. I feel like that's something I've
probably
heard.
At least once. But I'm like, well, I did have a concept of like a post-apocalyptic campaign, where, as it turns out, dwarves can't naturally have their soul just go on out. They're so physically oriented that it sticks in their body, so like they'd always come back as ghouls. Mm-hmm. But like they start eating one another. What happens when you eat another ghoul, sort of thing? Then, well, you got two souls in your body.
Mad cow disease.
Well, kind of, but it'd be like two souls in the body, so you'd have like two voices, and it keeps on going until you have like one horrible like gestalt mass of dwarven souls. There's some sort of like underdark demi-deity, some sort of weird, creepy version to counteract like the Illithid's god brains. And it'd be like, yeah, man, it's like that's really dark and creepy, but it's like, I can see it for a post-apocalyptic dwarf thing. So I guess you could make a thing like where the god dies, because gods can apparently die, and they die all over the place and these sorts of things. And like, what happens is the souls still go to that area. They just kind of like form up into like some sort of divine amalgamation, and I think there could be some very interesting work done with that. I just haven't seen anything for that.
Yeah,
you could make maybe get the dromites, the insectile species for the psionic stuff back in 3rd edition, revamp them up for 5th edition. Might have to wait a little bit for the psionic stuff to come out, but whatever. But any sort of like true like eusocial sort of species, some sort of insectile humanoid species, and that's how you could have it. And like, why did all the souls form together? Well, they're eusocial in life. They're eusocial in death. So I think you could work something interesting that way too.
Yeah. I think I would like that. I think that's cool.
Well, any which way to make things a little differently. Oh, here's the thing: you could do it with elves, maybe, and instead of them just going as like one divine host, they become part of like the hunt. Because you have the whole story about like the hunt where like
the Unseelie Court.
Yeah, sort of thing. Yeah. In which case it'd be like the souls of like the elven hunters. They're dead, but they don't want to quit hunting, so they'll hunt things in the afterlife. So they'll pick like a target, and like well, maybe they accept contracts. You get enough reason for them to go for it, and it's like, that demon lord is now the target. Let's hunt! And so, it's like, oh, but sometimes, like, this angel is on our list, and we hunt! So it'd be like a true neutral sort of thing. And I think that could be a very interesting player in a divine cosmology. And it still has various like echoes of the real world sort of thing. So then, I mean, heck, you could even work that like whenever they try and reincarnating with one of these hunt souls, that's how you get lycanthropes. Oh yeah, they're part animal, part like a humanoid soul. But when you reincarnate them, or I guess try to bring them back, they come back wrong because they were part of the hunt, and that animalistic thing like has permanently tainted their soul. And so they come back, and like every full moon they beast out. It's like, whoa. So hey, there you go. Now you've come up with a way to explain like werewolves and all that sort of thing in your campaign. And you know what? That when you're working it that way, you can ignore like the lawful good, the chaotic evil stuff of all that, and say no, they're all completely neutral, and they have to hunt. It's something in their divine nature now. Their soul says they have to hunt because they were part of it in the afterlife. And apparently you can like transmit this sort of thing, and that's how you get the secondary ones.
Yeah.
The new pack for each one. So that way you could have like a huge amount of secondary lycanthropes, a few primary ones for people that have come back from the dead. Keeps them fairly rare, but still decently dangerous, because if you're coming back from the dead, you're not first level. So that way you can keep the power level up there and respectably feared for lycanthropes. It's not like, why are these guys so easy? It's like, well, they were all first level commoners before they got bit by the werewolf. You're slaughtering the bottom end of like werewolf power levels. So there you go. I mean, that's an interesting way of doing things.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, ultimately I want to try and have everyone take home from the topic today is the afterlife and like the divine realms should have a nice mirror or reflection style of the living world. And maybe that's why the Greeks had it as like, I guess, like a meritocracy or like a king thing of a city-state with Zeus, was because that's how they started out, and democracy didn't always flourish too well underneath them, depending on who they were.
Yeah.
So, like, it never took hold in the divine realms either.
Yeah, so, well, I guess, your mythology seems to lag a little bit. It seems to describe a few generations back, sort of, I guess, maybe, I don't know.
Or maybe things work completely differently from the gods, and you can't have that sort of thing going on. As long as you have a reason for it, go for it, I believe. But I find the mythology of your afterlife becomes much richer when you try and mimic it from the real world and what's going on with the living people.
Yeah. Now, can there be a divine anarchy? Like, sometimes gods care more or less about people, like... There could be
the Forgotten Realms for a while had the gods not caring at all until the time of troubles when they got their power from the worship.
Oh, okay.
And like they had that one goddess of beauty who was just vain, like sort of princess, whatever style, and she was just completely objectified. Like, now we have to listen to what they're saying when they're praying. Oh my God. So yeah, there was a time when like the gods really didn't even have to give a darn about however many worshippers they had. I still believe it might work better off that way if you're working like a campaign where you'd have like power source like points, like so many ranks of divinity allowed from like primal concepts. So if you're the god of death, it doesn't matter who's worshipping you or not. You're connected up to this death power node, and that gives you at least so many ranks of divinity. Versus like someone who's like, I am like a demigod by virtue of 1 million people praying for me every day. But if they stop praying for me, I lose my divinity and I die. Because I'm actually already dead. I had to die to come up as a god. Yeah. So, it's in my best interest to really pay attention and help these people out in any sense I can. Any chance to increase my power base. And so that way you could have like however many, like, because in 3rd edition they had like divine ranks. Yeah. And I think like they had some concept like a finite number of divine ranks in this pantheon. You can't have any more ranks than that. For someone to go up rank, someone has to lose a rank. Yeah. Whereas I preferred the concept of like so many hardcore points and then worship points. So you get like 1 million people to worship you, and you start raising up the rank, and then you get your ranks for your primal concepts. Magic, nature, life, death, that sort of thing. The big focus stuff that they've seemed to do with the domains in 5th edition. They haven't really focused on any petty minor things right now, or even like I have the elf domain, so I have like elven qualities, even though I'm human. It's like no, this is like really primal concepts we're working with here.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
at least for now,
need the it's a combination of mortal worship and also just the fact that I am the god of this thing or.
I am so integrated into the cosmic cycle of existence. You can't get rid of me. Yeah. That would be like trying to get rid of verbs from the language. Congratulations on trying that one, buddy.
Yeah. Although I suppose like some pantheons or some versions will be like, you can kill the god of thunder, but as soon as you kill him, either like one of his lieutenants or just another deity just sort of springs up out of nowhere and just becomes the god of thunder. Or maybe that sometimes that power just goes to the person who kills that other god.
Twist, there was 2 gods of thunder because lightning struck twice. Da-da-da-da, and they were just playing a back and forth on there. He's like, there's only one god of thunder. How can you be in so many places at once? I'm divine. It's like, no, actually there were 2 gods of thunder,
And with that, if you would like to comment on this show or on anything you've heard in this show or leave us feedback, send us email. You can send us email to simulationist@gmail.com or go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thesimulationist, and type in your comment. You don't have to spell great. We don't care. You don't have to...
Send a link, though. I mean, if you've come up with like a campaign like for a divine... hierarchy is something completely different, something unique, something that really does work what you think really well. It has a lot of style to it. Put it up on, I guess GeoCities don't exist anymore, but put it up on a website somewhere and link it to us. Let us know. Let our other listeners know.
Absolutely.
Share your wealth of information and your new ideas.
You can also post comments on our YouTube page, youtube.com/thesimulationist. And you can spam us if you like. That's fine.
We're still having fun with that. We're not too big to ignore spam.
That's true. And we also have iTunes, where you can find us on iTunes, and you can leave us nice little reviews, happy reviews, as many stars as you think you want to leave us for us. And whatever other podcast service you use to catch our show. Sometimes it's Stitcher, sometimes it's something else. I noticed that we got a few downloads from podcast.de, like podcast like in Germany.
Oh.
So there is a German aggregator site. So to all our German listeners, hello.
Ooh, I hope they've got some.
Tagen.
I hope they've got some good ideas, because I mean their mythology for their beasts and creatures thing has been one of the richest parts of Europe. They come up with some really interesting ideas there. So, like, if someone's come up with a really good idea for the gods there, I would love to hear that. I mean, they're coming from a very interesting perspective that way.
I should hope so. Yeah. Wherever you happen to find this show, if there's a way to rate us or review us, we would love to have that review and rate. And if you do, also you can send us a note and just let us know that you did, and then we can thank you on the show, or we can thank you by email, however you'd like, and that sort of thing. I think that's all the social media.
I think we've covered our basic what we believe fundamentally for the concepts for this week's big topic.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, like how you think things should be run?
No, I think. Well, let me see. I should add something. Divine politics. I think it's just a good topic to think about. I guess
it does add even a little bit of thinking does add a lot of a style to the particular campaign you're working up.
I think so. And I am a fan of telling stories, so I like the stories. I like the deities to be a little bit almost human, like a kind of human-like, and
or bigger than human.
Of course, they're bigger than human. They're sort of human exaggerations.
Their divine passions should be the thing of legends. I mean, I give Zeus a lot of flack for trying to bone every human in whatever form he can get a hold of, but that's his passion. Apparently, I mean, everyone needs a hobby.
Yeah.
And his happens to be seducing women as a goose or golden rain or whatever. But you know what? I mean, that's because that's his passion. That's his thing. And like Dionysus wasn't that much better. I mean, he's like, I'm drunk all the time. That's my passion, is getting liquored up. And, well, at least he had an excuse for all the weird things he did then, because he was drunk. I mean, all his worshippers were drunk, and they were all having like a permanent festival partying across the landscape.
At least he had that excuse.
Any excuse, is at least a decent excuse, I believe.
I guess that's our final thoughts on the simulation. Thanks for listening. I have been Josh Chillen.
I've been Ryan Kirkby, the Easter Bunny.
Sinwan.